Okay, today's notes are really important. I'm going to throw a lot of things at you that you probably haven't seen. So, first, we're going to do every problem I give you today is going to have a couple follow ups in your note packet. So, make sure you follow along. I'm going to give you some answers and then you're going to do some others. So, for example, I'm getting ready to do 9 and 10, and then you'll do 11 and 12. So it says right here in the directions, solve the inequality and tell whether it has infinitely many solutions or no solutions. Okay. So we distribute negative 6x plus 15. And then we drop everything else down. Negative 6x plus 9. Okay. And now when I try to get my variables to the same side, they'll cancel. And that will leave me with 15 is greater than 9. So you have to ask yourself, when is 15 greater than 9? Well, it always is. So in this case, we have infinite solutions. Okay, and of course the opposite will be a no solution over here. So if I do this real quick with my distributive property, I have 4x minus 6. And over here I have 4x minus 5. Okay, if I combine my x's and get them to one side, they cancel. Oh, sorry. A little math error there. That should be a 5, obviously. Okay, that says that I have negative 5 is less than negative 6. So if I think about a number line, I have negative 6 here, negative 5 here, and of course 0 would be over here. The smaller numbers go to the left, and the bigger numbers go to the right. When is negative 5 less than negative 6? That's not true. Never. So that's when you have a no solution. You cannot find any number that works for this equation. And the opposite, any number you pick over here works. Okay, that's part 1. Moving on. So we're switching gears to something called compound inequalities. Okay, and that is just simply 2 or more inequalities. I hate when it does that. Two or more inequalities that are grouped together. 2 or more inequalities that are grouped together. So down here, we have 2 types. We have ands and we have ors. So an and inequality is going to combine certain things and make them that both parts have to be true. So in this case, they're saying that the solution needs to be greater than or equal to negative 2. That's what they have graphed here. And then it also has to be less than or equal to 3. So the only thing it can be, okay, so like if I pick the number negative 3, it doesn't work here, but it does work down here. And also if I pick 4, it doesn't work there, but it works there. So, but any of these numbers in between all work, okay? So when we combine them, here's how it looks. It's a closed circle because it's a greater than or equal to. So my solution starts at -2 and it goes up to 3. and we connect them like that, right? The only time that both of these are going to be true and we have an AND statement, then that's the only time it's going to be true. I can't pick 4, I can't pick -3 down here. Okay? And then that solution works for both. So we can test this out here, or actually we're not going to test it out, we already kind of did here. We can write this as a compound inequality. Okay, whenever you have an and here's how you do it. You always start with your smallest number. -2 is going to be less than or equal to x. And that's going to be less than or equal to 3. These things always face the right, my inequality signs, though, that is, if I'm going to use math vocabulary, they always face the right. My smallest number is always on the left, and my biggest number is always on the right. So my solution has to satisfy all of this. It has to be greater than or equal to -2 and less than or equal to 3. More of that to come. Over here, if it's an or, it just has to be one or the other. So I have to be less than or equal to a -2 or greater than 1. So 0 doesn't work. In this case, 1 does not work. 1 doesn't work because it has to be greater than 1. And if I get to -2, though, it can be -2 because it's an equal to. So here's the correct way to write it. That's the only way you can write it. You just do your x is greater than or equal to -2, or x is greater than -1. So what's that look like when we graph it? Well, you just merge them together. Greater than or equal to -2, greater than with an open circle for 1. Okay? So you have 2 examples like that you will just graph and try to do the exact same thing. Okay? And I'm going to do that down here. It says write a compound inequality and graph the solutions. It says all real numbers between, that's a key word, -3 and 4. You see that word and? It's going to make you think it's an and you can write it like this, -3, and it's going to be between. So -3 doesn't count. So it would be like that. -3 is less than x is less than 4. Open circle, line between. Over here, or, okay, we do the or sign. So numbers that are at most 2. So the biggest it can be is 2. So x is less than or equal to 2. Solid and closed circle. Or at least 7. So I just make that in between the 6 and 8 and go that way. We would write or x is greater than or equal to 7. They want us to solve and graph these now. So now we're jumping ahead. Okay, and this is the last 2 for the day. And I have 5 minutes to get these done before my video cuts out. Okay, and all of these have been in your note packet. And here we go with these. Solve and graph the compound inequalities. So this is kind of cool. If I have these 3 things here all together, if I subtract 5, I can now do this to 3 sides. That's a big difference. Only when it's an and it's written as a compound like that. That leaves me with -3 less than or equal to 3x less than or equal to 9. Divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. Do it 3 times. That gives me -1 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 3. And that's written as an AND statement. So my solution, we're going to go -1 here. 0, 1, 2, 3. I'll do one more there. That's -2. -1 less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 3. Does that work in my solution? Yeah. X, so if I just cover up part of it, so like if I were to X this part out, cross that off. I don't want to use the word X, I guess, because that's the variable. X is greater than -1. So any number over here. Okay. And then we'll undo those. And then also, x has to be less than or equal to -3. So it goes that way. And where they meet in the middle is your solution. Last one for the day. The ORs are easy. You just solve like normal, but you have to do it 2 times. So I got separate equations here. So I just add 3. 2t less than 7 divide by 2. I said 2. I wrote 3. T is less than 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. You can have decimals, that's okay. Over here, subtract 3, subtract 3. T is greater than 7. So those are my 2 solutions. And I always put that OR down. That's really important, guys. So T is less than 3.5 or T is greater than 7. So let's go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Less than 3.5, so it would be a circle in the middle here. It goes that way. Or T is greater than 7, circle, going that way. And that's how your solution would look. Okay, here is your assignment. And your notes started right there on page 17 and 18, I believe. So I believe I did 9 and 10, so you're going to do 11 and 12. Then I did 1 and 2. You followed it up with 3 and 4. Then I did 5 and 6, and you're going to follow up with 7, 8, 9, and 10. Take pictures, submit online. Okay, the other thing that you guys might have to do, I threw a lot of this at you. You might have to spend some time on Khan Academy this weekend. We are a little behind some of the other classes, so we're going to try to push here over the next week and try to catch up. But if you are truly focused on learning this material, you might need to Google some of these on Khan Academy or even YouTube. YouTube. Okay, can't spell tonight. On YouTube. Look them up. Okay, if you have a hard time with compound inequalities, Google it. Google algebra compound inequalities or compound and or inequalities, and you're going to find some of this stuff. Watch some extra videos. 15 minutes doesn't do it justice, but and we'll come back to it Monday. We're going to start doing some reviews. I do have one more thing that we have to learn this chapter, and we do have a quiz coming up. So don't just be dependent on my notes. Make sure you're doing some other things to strengthen your learning. Have a great weekend, guys. This is due Sunday night at 9 o'clock.